good morning, good afternoon to everyone out there joining us for our March live demo. Welcome. Hope you've had a good morning, afternoon, wherever you are. We're going to be looking today at contracts and being able to extract the right contract data in just a few clicks. And with us to do that is Sridhar Ratakonda, who is the founder and CEO of Predactica. Sridhar, hello.
Thanks, James. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for joining.
And we've got Rob Taylor, who is counsel at Carsten, Allen and Gawley, who are a law firm based in Dallas, Texas. Is that right, Rob?
Yes.
Awesome. Welcome. So we have a lawyer and we have a founder as well. So we're going to be tackling all of the questions, both from a legal and from a tech perspective related to this technology. Just before we start, I'm going to give, as we always do, give people a couple of minutes to join that may be joining us a little bit late. And while we're doing that, if you could just pop in the comments where you're joining us from on this stream, just to get an idea of where we've got representation from. And then while you're doing that, just a little bit of housekeeping in terms of how we run these. For those of you who have seen these before, you're familiar with the format. But I'm going to hand over to Sridhar and Rob in a couple of minutes, and they will do a general presentation for about 10 minutes just to set the scene and give a little bit of background in terms of Predactica and their solution ContractGenie and what it does. And then we will go into the actual demo so as you can have a look under the hood at how the technology works and what it can actually do. I really like this because it strips away a lot of the functionality of more traditional contract management solutions, and it gives you past contract data really, really quickly, just to get the things from a contract that you need. So the typical sticking points in contracts: liability clauses, warranty, termination, anything specifically that you want to pull from a contract that you don't want to have to trail through your complete contract library for. With the power of AI now, you can actually do that without having to have the features and the pricing that a lot of the more traditional contract management suites offer. So Graham joining us from London. Hi, Graham. Good to have you with us. So yeah, with that being said, we will have questions at the end, by the way. If there is anything that you want to ask us during the demo that is relevant to the actual screen share or conversation during the demo, I'll flash those up on the screen, and then Sridhar or Rob, whichever one of you is best to answer that, we can take that. But generally what we do is we leave the final 5 minutes or so for Q&A, so we can tackle any questions that we don't do during the demo right at the end. So don't worry, there will definitely be time. Just pop them in the comments in the feed if you have any questions while we're going through this. So Sridhar, I'm going to hand the baton over to you, sir, and let you take the stage.
Thanks, James. Thank you all again. And my name is Sridhar Ratakonda. I'm the founder and CEO of Predactica. So today, as James said, I will briefly go over ContractGenie with a few overview slides and then demo as well. So before I do that, I would like to have Robert join me and introduce himself. And he has been a great help giving us legal advice on what to look for in legal contracts. So he has been a great partner for us. So Rob.
Sure. Thank you, Sridhar, and thank you, James. So my name is Rob Taylor. I've been a global general counsel. I've been a general counsel for as well as startups, mid-growth companies. And so I really most recently have been, I've joined a law firm and I specialize in technology and artificial intelligence. And I've done lots of reviews of different types of solutions that are leveraging artificial intelligence. And what they always say is, you should be solving a problem and not just adopting AI for the sake of adopting AI. And what I love about this ContractGenie is it solves a lot of the frustrations I had as a general counsel trying to look at various solutions to manage contracts. And, you have these legacy contract archives, often they're in SharePoints, file folders. You may have, and some of our companies have gone through the exercise of outsourcing the abstracting of contracts. spending a lot of money to have someone go through, $1 a page or whatever to review and abstract certain information, but you had to tell them what you wanted to abstract, right? And so then later on, you would get to the point where you would realize, well, now we need to get this additional information from all of our contracts, go through that exercise all over again. It's quite expensive. And then the solutions that are out there, one, are expensive, and then to get them to work the way you want to, you could spend millions of dollars getting them to work the way you want it to for your company. So I think it's a perfect use case for adopting AI in contract management, because you're no longer tied to whatever abstracting was done before, whether or not that was accurately done. As you have new needs and want to find additional information that might be stranded in your contracts, that's the beauty of the AI and ContractGenie, is you can leverage the tool to find anything as long as it's in a document. So I'm really excited to be assisting Sridhar and Predactica in this journey, and I think they've really come up with a really novel solution to solve pain points that in-house legal departments and law firms, for that matter, have in trying to access and tap the hidden information in a lot of their contracts.
Thank you, Rob. Really appreciate it. So James, I can go ahead and start, I guess.
Yeah, just let me know when your screen's ready and I can flash it up.
Yeah, I'm starting right now.
Okay.
Can you all see it?
Yeah, we can see that. Yeah, super.
Okay, so as James said, ContractGenie is a tool or product once the contract is signed. So it's all about contract intelligence. So once the contract is signed, what kind of information, insights you can derive from it. We purposefully stayed away from contract drafting to kind of functionality, because there are a lot of tools out there, and plus there are a lot of legal liabilities that we don't want to get into. So it's all about once the contract is signed or you want to analyze a contract, that's where ContractGenie comes into play. So a brief history of our journey into ContractGenie. We are a almost 5-year-old company. We started with Predactica ML, which is our machine learning product. Think about it, before Gen AI started, like I would call it classic AI ML. So we had a product out there to help data scientists and business people to build predictive models, right? So that was our first product. And then we had Predactica CX, which is about customer experience. Think about like before Gen AI, we used to have natural language processing and similar techniques. So idea is we use that to create customer analytics, get feedback from different channels, and do predictive analytics on top, right? And then we also build several solutions on top of these platforms, several use cases like demand forecasting, churn prediction, a lot of traditional use case that you can think of, right? And a few years, 2024, we launched ContractGenie officially. The roots of ContractGenie are a little accidental, I would say. We were demoing our existing products, and one of the business owners of a manufacturing company came to us and said, you know what, we deal with a lot of contracts. Can you help us? Because it's all manual and they literally deal with thousands of contracts, right? So at the time, Gen AI was, as you all know, has been kind of gaining traction, and we felt that's the right platform, the right technology for us to use. So that's how ContractGenie started. And we have good customers using it actually live today. And as we get more feedback from customers, we're continuously improving the product, right? So that's kind of brief history of ContractGenie. So in terms of problems, a lot of you are, I'm sure, have some background in procurement, legal, and similar areas. So one of the challenges that we heard from procurement teams was, how do you track compliance risks in a contract? Like a lot of contracts have clauses, like for example, you cannot sell in certain areas, or you cannot sell beyond this certain date. You can only sell certain products, right? So there are a lot of compliance-related issues that they had a hard time tracking. So that's one of the challenges we address, right, in terms of exposing those details. An additional thing is how do you create structured data out of contracts, right? Because contracts are all about language. So we also help create structured data output from contract language, right? From a CFO point of view, several contracts, as you all can imagine, will have clauses like payment clauses, right, or receivables. So if they don't have visibility into these things, they are actually kind of not optimizing the cash flow, right? Think about delayed payments. If they're not on top of it, they're not receiving payments on time, or in some cases they might be exposed to penalties, like if they're not paying certain party on time, they will have penalty clauses, right? So how do we expose all these things without going to go through individual contracts, right? So that's another problem we are solving for CFOs. And last but not least, sales. A lot of generative AI products, one of the primary use cases solving or saving operational costs, right? But this is one use case where we, in fact, sales teams realized, for example, contracts, if you are selling in manufacturing, retail, and similar verticals, you might have clauses that say, you know what, you can sell this product globally or certain countries. But sales is typically not aware of these things because any enterprise sales typically doesn't have kind of visibility into contracts, right? So we expose those things. So sales know, okay, so we can sell this product in this country, so they are realizing additional revenue, right? So kind of getting upsell opportunities as well. So these are some challenges we're solving across the functional groups. So as you all know, contracts are one area where it touches multiple functional groups, right? So we enable that, exposing those insights to these groups through role-based access control. So certain parties who have only access can kind of get those information, right? Get those details. So in terms of features, a lot of traditional capabilities you can imagine. We support all that, automatic clause extraction. We even make it actionable. For example, if contracts are expiring, we create alerts for that. And then we have custom taxonomy. So our product can support any type of legal contract, right? It could be MSAs, it could be vendor agreements, it could be mergers and acquisitions, SOWs, you name it, right? Because it was trained and pre-built with taxonomies, legal taxonomies, so it can accommodate all that. Of course, it has a lot of search capabilities across contracts. As I said, security through role-based access control, right? And then last but not least, you can have conversation with contracts, and we use very secure environment using so that it doesn't go outside the enterprise boundaries, right? So what are our key differentiators? As I said, security is one big thing. We all understand people are concerned about exposing the contracts to outside parties or even within the company, right? So we have a single tenancy built-in architecture. It's all cloud enabled. So there's no data sharing between companies or vendors. So it's all isolated to you. And we also have role-based access control. So you can give access to who are on a need basis, right? Also, you can identify what areas, what functionality you want to expose to your team. So not everybody gets everything, right? Also, as I mentioned, auto-generate alerts. So we can make it actionable. Like if contracts are expiring, your renewals are coming up, we can create alerts and integrate with your system of records, right? And then we also expose the data through structured data extraction. So we just don't kind of give you insights on the fly. In addition to that, we store all the data in a database. We use standard data formats. So if you want to build your BI reports or dashboards, I'll show you in the demo. You can easily do that because we save all that information, right? It's also fine-tuned with legal taxonomy and dictionary, so you can support different types of contracts. And last but not least, again, it's cloud native. So it's all natively built. Our platform is built on Azure, but it can support AWS or other cloud platforms as well. And it's AI first. Unlike other traditional products out there, which are a lot of bloatware, I would say, right? We are built from ground zero with AI as using AI technology, right? So we're kind of using the latest developments in the space, kind of focused on what teams really need and not really do everything under the sun, right? So that are key differentiators. In terms of pricing, we have two primary models. One is a customer-owned cloud infrastructure. So let's say you have your own cloud infrastructure. We can deploy it there. We are always support unlimited users, so there's no per user-based licensing. So if you have your own infrastructure, unlimited contracts, it doesn't matter how many contracts you want to process in a given time or month. And then we also have a support for bug fixing and updates and all that, right? And all the plans have 30-day free trial. So if customer-owned infrastructure plan, it's $1,000 per month. It's billed annually, right? On the other hand, we also can, so if you don't have your own infrastructure, we also have our own managed SaaS platform in our cloud. Again, it's unlimited users. For up to 1,000 contracts a month, it's $800. Anything beyond that is like $50 per 100 contracts, right? Again, it comes with 30-day free trial. In both cases, you get the same feature set, unlimited users. The only difference is how much you're paying depending on your hosting or we are hosting platform, right? Of course, we also support custom deployment model, where you want us to, let's say, integrate with some of your tools or, for example, custom connectors or data integration. We support that as well. That's the custom pricing. So that's kind of the overview of the platform. I just want to quickly run through a case study we recently done for a global manufacturing company here in Dallas. They are an international company and they deal with thousands of contracts with several parties, right? And each contract is different. So the challenge they had was the time it's taking them to process these and amount of delays the financial teams are experiencing because of all these processing delays. So we are able to help them automate the whole process and actually also integrate with their systems like financial systems, CRM, right? So there's an end-to-end visibility, not just looking at contract, but how does it flow into their accounting systems, right? So we are able to not only meet the end-to-end goals, but also meet the compliance. And outcome has been extremely positive. We reduced the contract analysis time by close to 85%. Even sales also realized there are new channels, avenues for them to sell in new markets, which they're not aware of earlier, right? Because we are bringing those insights to them. And finally, accuracy, because earlier it was all manual, a lot of errors, and as you can imagine, right? So now we improved accuracy as well. So that's kind of the outcome, the recent outcome with the platform received. So given that, I think I will jump into the demo part. Is it okay, James, or do you have any questions you want me to take before we do that?
No, there's no questions yet in the feed, Sridhar. So yeah, please let's move on to the demo. I just think I like what you said about the AI native and the built from scratch, because you're right. A lot of these legacy platforms, they will splash AI all over their website, but I think when you get under the hood, what AI are they really using? If it's not built from the ground up with the intention to have AI built into it, then I think that they're the questions that I guess the audiences, most of the audience are going to be procurement leaders. That's what they need to be asking of the solution providers, because it's easy to slap AI on your website, but what is it once you actually get into the tech behind it?
I think also to add to that is that, Sridhar, you hit on two really key points for procurement organizations, which, are drive to, their mission is to reduce costs, right? In their procurement operations and all the things that the company procures from third parties. So you identified two really great points. One is that, perhaps, with this insightful tool, you can find discounts or things in your contracts that you may not be aware of, or certain entitlements that can help drive down your costs for your operations generally, but also, and this is where it may pay for itself, the ability to drive revenue, which is very unusual. I've looked at hundreds of generative AI solutions, and most are about reducing cost and operational efficiency. I think this is a key feature or benefit of using this solution, is being able to find, discover, and exploit additional revenue opportunities that the company's operations teams may be unaware of, that they're entitled to do that arise from the contract. So I think those are two really great points. It could help pay for the implementation and the cost of this solution, which is unusual for technology. You know, it's usually all about costs and expenses and justifying how can we add this to the budget, right? Because this is something new we hadn't budgeted for, but this way it could potentially pay for itself.
Yeah, thanks, Rob and James, for emphasizing that. Definitely. Yep. So let me jump into the demo. So as you can see, we are Microsoft. Our platform works on Microsoft Cloud, but as I said, it can work on AWS as well. The good thing about using the cloud infrastructure is you don't need to create your own user accounts and then worry about security and all that. Whatever security controls your IT team has, it's already built in. So if you need access to the tool, all your team needs to do is create an account for you in your cloud infrastructure, right? Simple as that. And then you can also have your IT team create security controls like role-based access controls. So all that is done by your IT, nothing specific to our tool, right? So it's all controlled by your IT infrastructure team. So this is
you had
our.
Me nervous then, Sridhar. I thought you'd forgotten your password.
Yeah, no, I was scared a little bit as well. So it always happens, right? During demo, something goes wrong. So let's see. So this is a homepage for ContractGenie. Before I go into the details of the contract capabilities, I want to quickly run through some of the admin features, right? Again, these are all, each feature is enabled or disabled depending on your profile through your admin control. For example, admin capabilities might be disabled if you're a regular user, right? But for the demo, we have enabled everything so you can see the full capabilities. So the first thing as an admin or a user you can do is clauses, right? So as you know, every contract has legal clauses. And the good thing about the platform is when you upload a contract, the tool automatically detects all the key clauses. But you can also delete your own clause for if you want. The idea of the clause is it can do additional introspection about each of these clauses and create structured output for each one of these. So you can do analytics on top, right? So for example, here I want to, let me say, if you want to delete this and then add confidentiality clause, right? Just want to showcase how simple it is, right? Once I hit enter, it automatically detects standard definition for it. Of course, you can change it if you want. So here in this case, it shows that keep information stored, shared in contract and private, which is okay for me, right? The definition. So I'm just going to accept it. So you can see how simple it is, right? So you can add clauses if you want to add more that if you're not identified already. So once the clauses are added, the next thing is we have a concept called taxonomy. Think of it as like a template, right? You might have different types of contracts. For example, you can have vendor agreements, NDAs, MSAs, or realtor agreement, whatever, right? So any legal contract. So you may want to group them so that each contract has its own kind of a taxonomy, and the taxonomy can have its own clauses. For example, I have vendor agreement here. To go to this, it has its own set of clauses, right? Again, you can change, add, delete clauses that you want. But the idea is you want to focus on a particular template or a taxonomy based on the type of contract you're dealing with, right? So I can add any type of clause here. Again, it's pretty straightforward. That's the idea. And then we also have a concept of connectors. So today we support Salesforce, DocuSign. Basically, we use APIs provided by the tool. So for example, if you want to add a new connector, I can add. We are currently working on DocuSign and SignNow. But if you need additional connectors, we can make it happen because typically a lot of these companies expose through APIs, and we can connect through APIs and ingest contracts that way, right? And then alerts, this is where actionable capability comes in. Let's say if you want to create an alert when the contracts are expiring next 30 days, 40, whatever the time period might be, you can create an alert, right? So I'll show you how. So once an alert is created, you can have it delivered through email or ServiceNow, which is a ticketing system. Again, we will add more integrations later on, but at this time we support ServiceNow for ticketing as well. So I can give my email, for example, and then select what kind of clauses or first I can select the documents I want the alerts to be created, right? Or contracts. I can select all contracts, or I can pick specific contracts and say, you know what, I want an alert to be created, and I want this alert to be, I can pick duration for 180 days before, and then I can also select the clauses. For example, the confidentiality or expiry, like for example, effective date or termination date. So I can pick the clause I'm interested in, and I can create an alert, right? So now we can see for each contract, it creates an alert by sending email, in this case, to the email I specified, right? So that way you can monitor what is happening in terms of, if you're looking at compliance and things of that nature, right? Again, it can integrate with ticketing systems like ServiceNow for now, and we'll be adding more later on. So these are like some of the key admin capabilities that somebody can come in and configure pretty easily. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward, no complex. You don't need to know anything about IT technology. You don't need to rely on your IT. Of course, IT might want to do the admin part, but they have the option to give anybody access, right? Going back to core capabilities, so here is where your contracts upload view comes into play. So for example, I have a few contracts here. As you can see, there are different types of contracts. You have a retail agreement, you have NDAs, you have MSAs, you have vendor agreements, right? So we can support different types of contracts because we have, as I said, good taxonomy-based architecture, right? So now let's say I want to upload a contract. Just show you in a few steps. The first thing you need to do is select a taxonomy so that you're grouping based on the right clauses. So since the vendor agreement, I picked that, and it's a master document. We also support amendments, by the way. But let's say master document, and then I can pick. So let's say it's a sample contract here. Sorry, I didn't upload. So the contract is uploading right now. You can see the status is running. It takes typically a minute or two, depending on how large the contract is, how many clauses it has. So it takes, while it's running, I just want to show some of the capabilities here. Like you can search the documents, you can do filtering based on what kind of documents you want to look at, and also you can filter on NDA type, taxonomy, what type of contract, right? So yeah, there are a lot of standard filtering capabilities that you can think of. So let's see how long this will take. Some time to refresh. We also have a hierarchical view, so I'll show that in a minute. So for example, if your contract has amendments, it will show that in a hierarchical fashion, kind of, so you can see the lineage between amendments and master, which master has amendments, things of that nature, right? Can you all see the demo still, right?
Yeah, we can all see still straight out. We've actually had a couple of questions come in from Graham, which I think are relevant to this screen. So I'm just going to flash the first one up. So he's asking, how does it manage multiple contract documents from one single vendor? So let's say you have an NDA and a master services agreement, both from the same supplier or vendor.
Yeah, so internally, each contract is a different document ID for us, contract ID. So it doesn't matter if the same vendor, we have attribute metadata. I'll show you, for example, like what type of contract it is, so it's document by itself. There's no relationship between interaction between the two if you're looking at document separately, but you can also group them later on. Say you can query it, like show me all the documents, contracts by this particular vendor. So you can do queries like that, but each one is processed separately by itself.
Got it. So each one would have a separate document number, but they would all be assigned to the same parent company or parent vendor. So as you can, so as they would all pop up in a search, and that they're linked to one another. Yeah.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. So
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So it's taking, I don't know, it should be done by now, but okay. So in the meantime, I will pop up one more document that's already processed. So for example, in this case, you can see some of the metadata we kind of stored, right? Like it shows document type. All this is pulled by the engine when it looks at a contract automatically, right? And it also pulls up all the clause details. For example, what are all the applicable clauses like territory, license, effective date, all the clauses you picked as part of the taxonomy show up here, right? Another cool thing is you can go to content view, and here, for example, I want to, you can do inline, it shows the actual contract right here, right? And you can also do, for example, pick any clause here. It shows all the clauses on the right side. And you want to see amendment, right? Who is the licensee? Like who is, for example, other party? It shows right here, right? It shows Liquid Gen is one of the licensee here. So if you want to look at things like effective date or whatever the clause might be, it kind of highlights right there in the document where where the particular clause is showing up. So that's the cool part about, you can also look in line what's actually happening within the contract itself. So let me see if the document, okay, so it's completed. So now you go to this document which we just loaded, right? As you can see, all the metadata and contract information is loaded. I can go here and look for certain clauses, and I can look for terms and conditions. For example, what are the terms and conditions? So you get the idea, right? All the clauses that are part of the taxonomy, you can pick right here. Another thing you can do, we call something called Ask Genie. The idea here is you can ask questions about this particular contract, right? Who are the parties, for example, right? So here it shows, like, for example, Kayla is one of the party, right? Licensor in this case. And the other one is GBM. So you can see it identifies all that as you can expect, right? So you can ask questions related to contract. For example, I can say, what is the
Sridhar, can it do that on mass? So if I wanted to find out all of the contracts that had penalty clauses in them, for example,
yes,
or
yes,
all
it
of the
does. I'll show,
contracts that had, yeah.
It does that. So I'll show that. That's once this is like the scope. This scope is at the document level. I will show you the global scope where you can ask the questions you are talking about. Definitely. So I just want to showcase this capability where you can query an individual contract, right? So now let's go back to documents view, and let's now load an amendment. I want to show how easy it is to load an amendment. So in this case, same taxonomy, and I will pick amendment as a type. When you pick an amendment, you want to show what master is it related to, right? So in this case, there is an amendment for this document. I load that, and then sorry, wrong window. So it's loading the amendment, right? So this is when once amendment is loaded, you can go to the hierarchical view, and it will show you so it's already completed. So for example, sorry, it's running. So it shows that the master document is this, and this is amendment, and you can view that in the hierarchy here, right? So same thing for every document, you can go and do a query on that. You can go to this content view and get the information, right? So one more capability I want to show you is the dashboards. So the idea of dashboards is we extract all the clauses from the contracts and we put that in a database, right? So you can do your BI reports. We build custom dashboard reports, for example, you can see. So for example, it shows how many active contracts are in the system, what are the expiry timelines, what are the trends, right? And then if you are interested for financial clauses like royalties, for example, it shows how is the royalty expiry looking, right? So you can see, you can get all this trend, global cross contracts, accounts payable, accounts receivable, right? All the information. If you're a financial CFO or somebody in that domain, you'll be interested in these kind of dashboards, right? the powerful thing about the platform is all the information, all the clauses, whatever you're interested, can be stored in database in a standard open database format. So you don't need to have another tool to write these in database and kind of extract the insights, right? So you can use your own BI tool or use the dashboards that we can build for you, right? And also on top of this, you can also do predictive analysis. For example, if you're a CFO, you might be interested in, based on the contracts, how is my cash flow looking? How are my royalty payments looking, right? How are my revenue forecasts? So there are a lot of scenarios. For example, if you're in compliance, you might be interested in knowing how are my contracts, are they at risk? For example, in this case, it shows how many are terminating, how many contracts are terminating soon, how many are confidential. So you get the idea, right? So it looks at multidimensional scope and see what's happening across your contracts. So compliance teams can also look at things like, how many audit status pending, how many are draft versus active. So a lot of information you can gather. So the idea is, once you do once you analyze the contracts, the information is so rich that if you have a lot of contracts, especially, that you have a lot of capabilities with the tool, right? So another thing is Ask Genie. This is global level. So this is what you were asking James earlier, right? So this is looking across the contracts. So we have a few existing dashboards we built. For example, you can say what are the contracts expiring. So it'll show you what are the contracts expiring, what are the timelines looking right in the near term. So that's the kind of things you can do. And also I can query things like what are all the termination conditions for the active contracts, right? So, or I might say so you can ask queries like that, and it goes across the system and pulls information like conditions, like shows the conditions, like for example, initial term is September, blah blah blah, right? So you can ask questions like this, or you can list off all contracts. For example, I can say I want to know, for example, I know a lot of these contracts have GBM as one of the licensee. And I can say what are their status, like, sometimes it doesn't, I think I might have type wrong name. Yeah, I had the wrong name here. Oops, sorry. Yeah, so here it shows, like, for example, what are the contracts, effective date, termination date, and the status. So you can query across contracts and get different types of results based on the query, right? So what else can I? So that's and then another thing you can do is, for example, you're looking at contracts or amendments. For example, you can ask queries like, what are the difference? What are the changes in effective date between the master, between the documents, right? For example, let's see if you can, just to show a delta between amendment and the master document. So it shows that master, it was originally 2019, and amendment, the date was changed, right? So it kind of shows you the delta. So you can query things like what are the difference between the master amendments and things of that nature. I think I covered all the core capabilities. So James, I will stop here and see if there are any questions that you want me to answer.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sridhar. So really over to the audience now. So anyone that's online that has perhaps a question that you want to ask to Sridhar or to Rob, relating to functionality, now is your time. If you've got anything, just pop it in the comments and I'll flash it up on the screen, and I'll ask the guys to give their answer to it. There's nothing that's come in yet. Let's just give everyone another minute or two. While we're doing that, Sridhar, if anyone would like to reach out to learn a little bit more about this, or perhaps to see a more detailed demo and discuss pricing in a bit more detail, where should we send them?
Sales at Predactica.com.
Okay. And for anyone that's watching this that maybe joined a little bit late or couldn't catch all of the demo, you can go back and watch this on the procurement software page on LinkedIn. I'm not sure how long it stays live for on there, but we will also edit the video and upload that to our YouTube channel as well. So if you go to YouTube and search for the procurement software channel, it will be up on there too, probably in a couple of days. There's a question from Graham that's just come in asking if you can do bulk upload.
Yeah, we have a backend process too. In fact, we are done for other clients. They had like literally hundreds of contracts. So yeah, we had a tool that goes in and extracts all these contracts from the folder or wherever the location is. Of course, if it is in their different system, we have to connect to the API. But if it is standard directory somewhere, yes, we can do that.
So as long as he's got them on some sort of SharePoint or shared drive within his organization, you know, if they're randomly on people's C drives or in desk drawers, obviously you can't do that. But yeah, okay. Very good. Thanks, Graham, for the questions. Always good when someone's asking lots of questions. Okay, I think that's it, guys. So unless Rob, Sridhar, you have any closing comments, I will wrap this up here. For those of you that want to look at contract management solutions more in general, if you go to our software finder app on our website, go to app.procurementsoftware.site. In the primary category, go in and select contract management, and then you will find Predactica along with every other potential contract management solution in there if you want to be able to compare and contrast what is out there on the market. But certainly from what I've seen, and I'm not just saying this because these guys are on the demo today, I think what you're offering, Sridhar, from a pricing perspective is pretty competitive given the features that you've got in terms of being able to parse that data and be able to do the bulk comparison of the different contracts. You know, obviously it doesn't have all of the pre-signature stuff in there that legal teams typically want, you know, the in-app redlining and contract clause library and all of that kind of stuff. But if you're looking at this more from a procurement or even a sales perspective in terms of being able to get a quick, easy overview of your contracts in a very short period of time, then I definitely think it's, you know, in terms of price and features, it's one of the best tools out there on the market. Vivekanandran, I hope I've pronounced that right. Do we have option to save global search sessions with results? So I think he's asking if he does a search, can he save that as a favorite search?
Not right now, but we can definitely add those capabilities. If you know, we would like to get feedback like this, so it'll help us see what's more important, right? Definitely, we can add that. I mean, a search on the back end we can store, and also at a session level we can do that, but we don't do that currently, but it's doable. So.
I think one other important point to point out about one of the benefits of this system compared with legacy old school contract management systems is the ability to find information. I can't tell you how many times I've tried to search for a contract in one of these legacy old school systems, and I know the contract exists, I know it's in the archive, but when I do a search, I can't find the document. It might be a simple search by the company name, and I spell it correctly, and yet it doesn't pull up all of them. And then when you actually go and are able to find them later, it's the correct name in the contract. It's like, why is that? You know, I can't tell you how many times, and that's so frustrating. And whether you're in legal or procurement, that's really a bad situation because you have to make decisions and rely upon information. You want complete information. And the larger an organization is, the more people that touch contracts, they may put them into the database differently or make some typos and stuff. So this solves for that big problem with legacy systems.
Yeah, definitely. One
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, James.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in those legacy tools, often if you're not the contract owner or administrator, it doesn't give you access to all of the enterprise contracts. Yeah, I've seen that before too.
Yeah, one closing comment, James, and everybody. So, as James said earlier, we are not about drafting a contract. We're avoiding that area, right? Because a lot of tools out there and legal issues. So our tool is enabling multiple functional groups. Think about how many times in a typical enterprise, if I'm like a business user, I have to call legal, right? Or find out where are the contract. Legal sometimes doesn't even know where the contracts are, right? Because it's hidden somewhere. And even if you get access, you won't get access to the important information you're looking for. Legal has to go and redact some information and share some relevant with you. Think about how much time is spent, how many man hours, how much delays, right? What if the information is on your fingertips based on your role that you have access to can be provided by your IT group. So you don't need to call your IT for everything, right? You already have security control set up. So you can look at contracts that make sense for you, right? Look at financial client information, or you can look at compliance. So that's what we want to enable, with simple interface, as you have seen, make it powerful, but not having every single bells and whistles out there, but what is important for you as a business user. That's the core of it, right?
And it's also powerful for the legal team too, because when they get those inquiries from the business, the legal team then might have to assign an attorney and some paralegals to go figure out the answer and find all the contracts, and that might take weeks, right? Yeah. And the business wants answers immediately. So it's a very powerful tool for the legal team as well.
Yeah, and not to mention all the information that's saved in the structured data, so you can, create dashboards or BI tool, whatever you want to do with that, right? So.
Okay, awesome, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining. I know we wanted to close out around about 45 minutes, so I think we've just about done it. And yeah, if anyone wants to go back and rewatch this, like I say, it will be uploaded on our YouTube channel probably in a couple of days, and you can still, for a limited time, also watch the replay on LinkedIn too. Rob, Sridhar, thank you for a great demo and some great thoughts and comments around what it can do. And look forward to catching up with you again soon.
Thank you both.
You're up.
Okay. Bye.